Welcome to Supporting Civic Discourse and our first week together. Before we talk about the components of week one and the assignments, I want to take a moment to actually explain the paradigm or structure for our course. The idea of civic discourse has a number of different definitions and interpretations. But for the purposes of our time together, civic discourse refers to this idea of promoting curricular opportunities where students are able to engage in conversation pertaining to topics that might come across as controversial, might be aligned to community oriented action, or are related to democratic ideologies or beliefs. For the purposes of our time together, we believe that there are three components to civic discourse, or three ideas that are fundamental to embedding civic discourse within your classroom and curricular spaces. The first of which is psychological safety. We'll talk more about psychological safety in just a minute. But in addition, we have media literacy and, of course, discourse practices. Media literacy refers to this idea of students being able to be critical of the information that they are provided with. Discourse practices is, as the name implies, the opportunity for students to engage in conversations in which they're expressing and utilizing their critical thinking skills in an attempt to really think about the world as it functions around them. Psychological safety is truly important, however, and the primary concept that we'll tackle, because without psychological safety, it's really not possible to engage in the conversations around controversial topics or aspects of the government, for example. Psychological safety is really about establishing safe spaces for students and adults as well to engage in conversations that might be perceived as risky. And so our first week together will be spent on establishing norms that will be designed with keeping in mind the idea of wanting to develop psychologically safe spaces. As we move through this week, there are two guiding questions that I'd like for us to consider. The first of which is, how shall we live with each other? And the second is, what do people do or say when they feel psychologically safe? I propose the first question because we live in a time where the utterance of non-aligned or non-identical ideologies could be perceived as an invitation for argument. But the reality is that we all have different perspectives and different beliefs. So how do we establish contexts in which the sharing of these different beliefs or perspectives or sentiments are not seen as criticisms, but rather as an opportunity to engage in dialogue? That's where psychologically safe spaces comes into play. Psychologically safe spaces allows for interpersonal risk on the part of the individuals without being concerned about status, career, performance, retaliatory actions, etc. Within the context of the classroom, students who are able to operate within psychologically safe spaces have been shown to exhibit more comfort with making mistakes, more receptiveness to feedback, more willingness to grow and improve upon themselves. There are some additional benefits of psychologically safe spaces as well. There are more opportunities for individuals to self-express, to present new ideas, as I said before, to indicate mistakes or errors. And generally, it allows individuals to pursue high standards, not because of feeling oppressed to do so, but more so knowing that they have a safety net that if they do make a mistake, someone will catch them and bolster them back up in order to further propel them towards achieving a goal that might be challenging. Within your own classrooms or school spaces, I'd like for you to think of the following. What do people do or say when they feel psychologically safe? What are some behaviors, dispositions, or mannerisms that students or adults might exhibit when they feel secured in their within the context in which they're working? And second, what are the benefits of psychological safety for students and also for teachers? For the purposes of our week 1 assignments and tasks, I'd like you to think of the following. What norms do we need to uphold for you to feel safe within this course? What would be some of the ground norms or expectations that you'd like for all participants to adhere to in order to feel comfortable taking risks? This is one of the assignments for this week. In addition to this particular task, I'd like you to consider the following. Review Amy Edmondson's clip on psychological safety. She offers much more background and detail on the concept, in addition to several strategies for how one might actually go about embedding psychological safety within their own settings. After you've reviewed the clip, please utilize the 4A's protocol. The link for the protocol is included in the same task alongside the clip itself, and then reply to at least 2 peers. Should you have any questions or get stuck, please be sure to shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Happy viewing!